This week on Inside the Headset, we are featuring Princeton special teams coordinator and outside linebackers coach Mike Mendenhall. Mendenhall discusses his personal journey into college coaching, shares the unique aspects of coaching at an HBCU and Ivy League program, and highlights ways he uses technology on the football field. But first, a word from our sponsor.
The All-State AFCA Good Works team has been one of the most esteemed honors in college football for more than 25 years. The student-athletes who are nominated for this award demonstrate a unique dedication to community service and desire to make a positive impact on the world around them. The Good Works team is comprised of 11 players from the FBS and 11 players from the FCS, Division II, Division III, and the NAIA, as well as one honorary head coach. To be in consideration by All-State and the AFCA for a nomination, each player must be actively involved with a charitable organization or service group while maintaining a strong academic standing. Past Good Works team members include notable players such as Peyton and Eli Manning and Tim Tebow. Coaches, do you have a player that you think embodies the values of the Good Works team? Be sure to connect with your SID to discuss potential nominees. To nominate a player or head coach, have your SID email vince@afca.com by May 21st of this year, 2021.
Coach Mike Mendenhall, how you doing, man?
Good, really good, man. Appreciate you having me on.
No doubt, man. Well, I get super excited anytime I get an opportunity to talk to an Ivy League guy. You know, I know you might not went there yourself, but it makes me feel a little bit smarter talking to you guys. But you know, about yourself, man. You do have a rich tradition and history of wrestling and football up in Jersey. You were fortunate enough to be a 4-year starter up in Temple, played ball Chicago Bears for a little bit, played over in Europe, in Berlin, had some very, very unique experiences. One of the more popular things, especially as the draft just happened last night and it's kind of happening over these next few days as we're recording this, you know, you see a lot of crossover, them talking about kids doing other sports. You know, the multi-sport athlete always is a popular conversations around signing period and in the NFL draft. You know, well, talk a little bit about your history in wrestling. You know, football, obviously, I want to hear some of that, but some of those parallels and, you know, when you get on the recruiting trail and you see a kid that's a wrestler as well, how that gets you excited.
Yeah, for sure. Wrestling and football has been a part of my life since I was very young. Just growing up in New Jersey and South Jersey, Paulsboro High School, long tradition there, wrestling and football, and 2 legendary coaches there in both sports in the state of New Jersey and even nationally. And so I was very fortunate to just really be around some great high school football and a high school wrestling coach as a young person. And it definitely played a huge part in my development as a person, as an athlete, and talk about it. Love the sport of wrestling, love the sport of football. And that combination, I don't know if it's talked about enough, but coaches talk about dual sport athletes and multi-sport athletes. And I think that wrestling and football combination is definitely special. I just think there's a lot of attributes there, characteristics that young people are going to get from wrestling. That one-on-one battle, there's nothing like it. I miss it to this day, man. Getting out on that mat and just going at it against somebody, right? And you can't hide. Right. You can't hide on the mat. Building that toughness and that experience for young people, going out on the mat and getting that one-on-one battle and knowing how to take your lumps. And I think it just builds character. And then on top of it, obviously the physical tools you're going to get from the sport of wrestling is going to carry over to the game of football. I played defensive end at Temple, and that leverage, being a knee bender, understanding hand combat, understanding body position, understanding body control, using people's momentum against them, setting up. Always got to be one step ahead
right.
Of your opponent as a wrestler. So, like, all those things, I think, carry over to many sports, right. And especially football.
That's it. you said it at the beginning, and as you're sitting here saying this, I'm kind of like, God dang, because you said it's not that parallel and that crossover isn't talked about enough. Obviously the track thing and the basketball thing and the baseball outfielder, he can track the ball, but you sit there and you look at what you do in wrestling. I mean, everything you just mentioned, that's so important. It's always interesting to kind of hear guys that played those sports that are able to kind of relay that message, and most importantly, seeing that one-on-one that you look for in track and all these other sports, but it's just displayed so well in wrestling. We'd love to see that more talked about. Now, obviously you've been coaching for a little bit over a decade now, but that wasn't your initial plan coming out. I know you play a little professional ball. What led you down that collegiate coaching route, and kind of got you excited about being in this profession?
Yeah. Coaching definitely wasn't something that I thought I was going to go right into once my football career ended. I got a degree in business accounting from Temple. Obviously had aspirations playing at the next level, and had a chance to do those things. And once that ended, the last season I played was NFL Europe in 2007. And once that ended, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I did go to work. I just went and got a job. I had to start somewhere. I went back and lived with my mom initially. And like many young people do once they graduate, just trying to figure it out. And then I volunteer coached at my alma mater, my high school, for 2 years. I volunteered wrestling and I volunteered coaching football. And so I did that for 2 years. And like I said before, our head high school coach there at Paulsburg, Glenn Howard, legendary coach, been there 35 years. Big influence on my life, as a young person. And then as an adult, once I got out of college, being around him even more and being a coach, I just got that itch. I love the game. I love to teach. I love just developing young people. And that was my passion. I really, just got that itch. And yeah, so that kind of led me to reaching out to coaches who coached me at Temple. And that's how I went ahead and got a grad assistantship from there at the University of New Mexico. A guy named Toby Ninus is a big mentor of mine, coached me at Temple. And he brought me out to New Mexico along with a guy named Reuben Carter, who's a longtime coach, played for the Denver Broncos back in the day with the Orange Crush defense. He coached me at Temple as well. And so they both got hired out in New Mexico under Mike Loxley, and they took me under their wing. And that's how I got my foot in the door and haven't looked back, and couldn't have been around better people than those two right there.
That's awesome, Coach. I always kind of get a smile on my face when I hear, coaches, especially kind of been around the game for a little bit, when they reminisce on that moment, if they got that foot in the door, because it's a tough thing to do. And in my role now here at the AFCA, I get a ton of calls of, guys that are just getting out of college and they want to coach, guys that are, coaching high school ball, they want to get in collegiate ball. And, one of the things that is often overlooked is call those coaches that you play for. It doesn't even have to be your position coach. It could be the guy on the other side of football. Just call all those guys and let them know that you're interested and see what kind of falls. And obviously that worked out for you. And I do have to follow up and ask, you're a Jersey guy through and through, played over there at Temple, East Coast guy. What was there any anxiety about picking up and going to make, I'm sure, peanuts over in New Mexico and
no doubt.
Just to get started?
By anxiety, yeah, good question. For sure. And I tell you what, I was engaged at the time.
Oh,
so
wow.
and she's my wife now. So my wife Christy was extremely supportive, and it was tough, but she came around. She understood what my goals were and what I wanted to do. We made those sacrifices, and we actually had a long distance relationship there. Went out to New Mexico. I was just hungry. Right. So I be honest with you, there wasn't a lot of anxiety. I was just a hungry young person that wanted to coach, super excited about the opportunity, and I couldn't get there fast enough, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And it helps when you're going you're going somewhere far away, but you're going with two people that you know very well,
right,
and that you know are going to have your back and that you can trust and are going to have their best interest in you. And that was important. So that definitely helped that process a lot easier. And obviously brought me back to Jersey eventually. So
that's awesome, Coach. Well, since then, you've coached at two institutions, and both of them are kind of unique, right? Can you first dive into where you currently are right now? You're at Princeton. What it's like to recruit at an Ivy League school, what it's like to coach at an Ivy League school. What are some of the challenges? It doesn't have to all be the negative stuff, but, I know there's a ton of good stuff that comes along with it. But, what are some of the things that you kind of face on the recruiting trail, day-to-day life, at being at such a unique institution?
Yeah, I tell you what, it's been a really tremendous privilege and opportunity to coach here at Princeton under our head coach, Bob Surace. And Princeton, long tradition of football, a lot of history here. And I tell you what, it's been a lot of fun coaching in this league, a very competitive league, week in and week out. You got to come ready to play. Your football team's got to come ready to play. And I have the opportunity to coach some of the best student athletes in the country. Okay, so some really, really bright minds, some guys that really love football. And there may be not a stigma or maybe people just don't know the quality of football that you're going to play in the Ivy League.
Absolutely. And
the caliber of football players that we're recruiting. And we have to go across the country and national recruit. We have a national budget too. We have to get in every state, and we got to spread our net to find the best student and the best football player we can. We're fortunate to have a good budget. We're able to do those things and recruit nationally because we have to, because of that academic and athletic combination that we're looking for. I tell you what, challenges wise, there's not many that really come to mind, to be honest with you. Obviously, we have a narrow pool, okay, of that student athlete pool that we're looking for.
Right.
But I tell you what, each year it seems like that pool gets bigger and bigger. I really believe that. I think there's a high priority on young people with whether it's via social media, whether it's just coaches educating their students, teachers educating, just those opportunities to get an Ivy League education. It's valued. I think it's getting more and more valued as time goes on here. And that's exciting. We're non-scholarship. So, obviously the financial aid piece sometimes plays a part into that recruiting process. Sometimes, is that a challenge? At times sometimes that halts the recruiting process, but we try to identify those things early in the recruiting process with students,
right,
to make sure we're a good fit, So, I tell you what, not a lot of challenges, to be honest with you. It's just unique. It's, that combination of academics and requirements to get into Princeton, is just unique. And,
I spent, I'm embarrassed kind of saying this, not really embarrassed. I guess it's not the right word, but I was at Davidson College, which is nowhere near the Ivy League prestige, what you guys, have it as a student athlete walking through your campus. But at the same time, we had some very strenuous academic requirements. And, when I first took the job, coming from a FBS program where you almost could get bare bone minimum guys in, I thought it would be a challenge, but man, it just weeded out so much stuff whenever you're able to kind of say, you have this as an ACT score. Nope. Okay, cool. I can't even, I just can't even really waste my time with you, and nor I don't want to waste your time in the recruiting process. And that was the one thing that I thought it would be harder, but it actually cleaned up a lot of recruiting, and it was non-scholarship FCS program as well. And, the financial aid piece was the one thing that may have threw a curveball every now and again. But overall, it actually cleaned up recruiting as much as I thought it would.
It really does. It's pretty clear cut. Yeah. Like you said, it narrows things down pretty quickly. Your standards are the standard.
Right.
There's not a lot of wiggle room at times academically. And yeah, you can identify those guys pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
And that pool narrows down where it was at before, and I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit. The pool is big, so
that's right. Well, prior to Princeton, you worked 5 years at a HBCU, a historically black college or university, at North Carolina Central University. Now, once again, this is unique, right? It's a niche type of atmosphere to a certain extent. What are some of the similarities, the differences of, once again, having your two major college experiences as a coach since you graduate assistant, be at these very unique schools? What are some of the similarities and differences there?
Yeah, a lot of similarities than what people think, from a tradition, history, pride in their programs and their universities, family atmosphere here at Princeton, family atmosphere at North Carolina Central, guys that love football, and obviously that comes down to recruiting the right guys into your program, right? And we were able to do that at North Carolina Central. Unique in regards to maybe cultural things, maybe a little bit different, traditions a little bit different, but I tell you what, a lot of pride and a lot of just pride in their programs, pride in their universities from both Princeton and North Carolina Central. So
that's right.
That carried over. Differences, of course, is really the recruiting, right? The academics, like we just talked about, just different academic standards were a little bit differently. We had to regionally recruit as well, right, there at North Carolina Central instead of national. So we spent a good time in that Southeast and North Carolina and South Carolina range. And obviously we're a scholarship program there at North Carolina Central. So I'll tell you what, I really enjoyed my time at North Carolina Central. I worked with some really good coaches. I was on 2 coaching staffs there. I was able to get retained. We won two MEAC championships, and they went on and former head coach there, Jerry Mack. I worked with him for 2 years and won two MEAC championships. He went on to win another one after I left to go to Princeton. The young men there were just awesome. And the administration, I really enjoyed my experience there. And the rivalries is probably a little bit amped up a little bit more than maybe an Ivy League rivalry, in my opinion.
Right.
Fans, North Carolina A&T down there in Greensboro, going down there to play them, coming to our place in Durham. Some of the best football games that I've experienced in my coaching career was between North Carolina Central and North Carolina A&T.
Absolutely.
A lot of fun, man. A lot of fun. And there'll be those memories will stick with me the rest of my life. And those young people that I had a chance to coach there at North Carolina Central, I'm still very close with and stay in touch with. So, a lot of fun. A lot of fun, Mario. Those games, those Aggie Eagle Classic games.
Right. Well, that's awesome, Coach, that you've had the opportunity to share these unique experiences, at two totally kind of different places, but, it's all the similarities in that very rich tradition, these rivalries that nobody would ever understand, unless you're there to see them. And I've been around a little bit of the when I was over in North Carolina, I would hear, that weekend, I mean, I'm seeing everybody in the I think it's maroon for North Carolina Central, if I'm not mistaken, and then the blue and gold for the A&T, just walking around, not even planning to go to the game, just representing their colors of who they're choosing. So, that's really cool, man. Well,
I'll tell you what, I coach in ball, but if I weren't coaching ball, I would go watch that game.
That's right.
I would go as a fan.
That's
so
right.
If football coaches are listening to this right now, if you have an opportunity, or just anybody listen to it, if you have an opportunity to go watch North Carolina Central, North Carolina A&T. Now, I don't know how well the programs are doing now, but North Carolina T and North Carolina Central were at the top when I was there coaching. And you had 22,000, 23,000 people there. And it was a lot of fun. So I would definitely recommend coaches listening to this to go ahead and experience that.
Awesome, Coach. Well, before I let you go, one of the things I was really, really curious about was, you recently got involved with Shot Sled, all right? And it's a football product, piece of football equipment, and you kind of helped assist launching it into the football world. Just share a little bit about number one, the sled. I know a little bit about it knowing you over the last year or so. Your motivation for being a part of this company, and then also what value that brings to a linebackers coach, special teams coordinator, or anybody else in a football program.
Right. Yeah, I tell you what, this tool really, what brought me to this sled, two-shot sled, was it's a great tool. I think I've been coaching, 12 years, and I just didn't coming across this sled. It's very versatile, and I thought it's just going to improve the game. I think it's going to improve the game from a technique standpoint, from a fundamental standpoint. It's originally designed for a wrestling sled and a combat sport sled, MMA, for takedowns. They wanted to build power. And with my wrestling background, the sled is manufactured in PA. They have their warehouse in Bristol, not too far away. I'm a Jersey guy. They're PA Jersey guys. So it was a pretty cool marriage between myself and the shot sled team. Joe McBone and Rick Seidman, and those guys are awesome. And they did have aspirations of getting into the football industry. They just didn't have anybody that really wanted to own it. And I came across shot sled at Princeton. It was in our wrestling room here at Princeton. I saw a video online. I said, would love to check this thing out and get this thing out on the turf and see what we can do with it. And I was looking for ways to improve tackling with our football team here at Princeton, and studying video and just getting in that body position, being a knee bender, some of those skill sets that you get from being a wrestler. Right. It doesn't come natural to every football athlete, right? So understanding knee bend, ankle flexion, keeping your eyes up, chest, using that leverage. This sled's going to allow coaches, athletes to feel that body position that you're looking for when it comes to a form tackle, keeping your head out. The design of it is very unique. It's a split bar design. It's also lightweight, and you can control the resistance through adding weight. It's collapsible as well. So this is a two-piece breakdown sled, so you can actually put it in the trunk of your car or in the back of your truck and take it anywhere and train year round, which I think is extremely unique to any other sled that's on the market. You can store it easy, so the life of the sled is going to increase. So it's just very versatile. We use it almost every day here at Princeton. But you want to get some good quality technique work done from a block destruction and tackling standpoint. I think shot sled is going to do that for coaches, and I appreciate you bringing that in here. So,
no doubt, Coach. Well, I appreciate you talking about it a little bit. I know not very often I've met a few coaches that have fallen in love so much with the product that they've used that they end up kind of becoming involved with it. And so typically, especially when a football coach endorses that product, to a certain extent, I think that's always says a little bit, about the use case of it. So I just wanted to throw that in there and hear a little bit about it, as I knew you were involved with it. But Coach, before I let you go, man, I sure appreciate it, man. It was fun chatting with you. If you wouldn't mind dropping your social media so coaches can keep up with you and your journey along the way, and just drop that Twitter account for you if you don't mind.
Thank you, Mario. Yes, feel free, coaches, anybody that's listening, reach out. Coach the outside linebackers, special teams here at Princeton, and I'm an open book. Okay, I'm a young coach, former young coach. So guys that are looking into getting into profession or just wanting to learn and grow, reach out. My Twitter account's @coach_Mendy, MENDE. Okay, so Mendy for short for Mendenhall. Feel free to reach out. Appreciate your time, Mario.
Yeah, no doubt, and we'll make sure to link that in the show notes, so it's an easy click for guys to find you and connect with you. And I sure appreciate your time, Coach. You guys have a good one, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you. Take care.